I'm Lucus Levy Keppel, pastor and cyclist from Tulsa, Oklahoma. This spring, I set out to ride the 335 miles of the Canal and the Great Allegheny Passage trails, all the way from Washington, D.C. to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Along the way, I faced moments of joy and hardship, weather and weariness. But I have my heart set on the goal to help World Bicycle Relief raise enough money to provide 10 bikes to families in need. Join me for the adventure as we share in the history, the challenge, and the grace of rolling forward together. Good morning, friend humans. Lucus Levy Keppel here at the Mile Zero along the C&O Canal Trail. That's right, it's time for this next big ride, the C&O and Gap Trail, and I am so excited to be beginning it today. I'm in the city of Washington, D.C. I've ridden over here from my brother-in-law's place, and it is just a wonderful day to get going. But at Mile Zero, we're going to ride the 185 miles of the C&O Canal Trail, and then another, I can do the math another time. It'll be on the screen here. Miles until we reach the end of the Gap in Pittsburgh. So from Washington, D.C. to Pittsburgh. And I'm doing all of this in order to raise money for the World Bicycle Relief Organization. Check out the link below. I'll have more to say about them as we go on. But I think it's about time to get started on this grand adventure. Come with me and let's pedal on. Whole way to Pittsburgh. All right. Thank you. So I've made one small mistake. I'm up here and I'm supposed to be down there. Not sure if you can see the towpath down there. I've just been riding along, decided to take the paved path while I could, and it diverged and I didn't realize I wasn't on the C&O anymore. I'm sure there'll be a way back, but I've been climbing for no reason. I'm finally on the C&O Canal towpath after a small jaunt over onto the Capitol Crescent Trail. Hopefully I don't have to face slopes anywhere near that steep for the rest of this trip. But it is nice to be on the crushed path again. The history of the C&O Canal is one of progress and a race, if you will. The canal started right before the railroads did, and just as the canal came online, the railroad started to be more and more feasible for the same route. But the canal could hold, at first, more coal than the rails. The engines couldn't pull the heavy coal cars. So it was a true competition. But in the 1920s, a flood of the entire Potomac River system meant that a lot of the canal was washed out. And at that point, the railroads could carry the coal, so there wasn't a view to restore the canal. But by the 1950s, Supreme Court Justice Douglas walked the canal trail and encouraged the rebuilding of it into making it a national park. Which is pretty incredible. They restored bits of it over time, not to working as a canal, but as a scenic way through the heart of the capital and through the Appalachian Mountains and the Allegheny Range. But we'll get to that part when we get to Cumberland. For now, let's enjoy views of the canal as we ride along it. This is Lock 11. Each lock is designed to raise the water level so that the canal can function in both directions. You don't just have to be going downstream. But to build these locks, at least in the what's called the 7 locks region, from lock 7 to 14, each one of these stones that you see was hand cut and placed and shaped to make sure that it fit. To make sure they got their pay, the artisan would mark each stone that they cut with their particular mark. And so this is one of the artisan marks here. There are some others on them, but I think that's the clearest of them that I've been able to see. Once the lock was finished, boats could travel through it. And they would call out to the lock keeper who lived in this little house here, "Hey, hey, hey, lock! Ah, lock!" It was apparently the official cry of the boats. It has not summoned the lock keeper today, so I think the lock may not be functioning. Up behind. Thank you. On your left. Thank you. Oh, wow. Absolutely stunning. I feel like every step along the trail here, there's just something else. The canal, the river, the rocks. Oh, I'm so glad to be out here. school, I learned about the presidents who every morning would get up and go for a swim in the Potomac River. And in the 90s, that sounded pretty gross to me. We lived in Maryland for 3 years and came down to DC a number of times. But looking at the state of the canal now and the way that the Potomac River has changed, oh man, I understand where that would be a siren call. Up and over. Good. That was really cool. Just saw the Great Falls on the Potomac. The story goes that George Washington was surveying up the Potomac with his troops during the French and Indian War to see if maybe they could make the river navigable. They got to the Great Falls and said, nope, that's not happening. And they thought a canal project would be a good idea, but it was a little while after after the Revolution and after his presidency before the canal project got going. But like so many things out here in the mid-Atlantic and the East Coast, everything has a story that ties back to Washington. But the Great Falls were so cool. Seeing the water flow over, just neat. And then, you know, on the outside of the Great Falls is an old tavern where canal boats that carried passengers would stop for the night. Passengers would be able to have a meal and go see the Great Falls, and I just think that would be amazing and absolutely relaxing. Forgot to mention, when I was at the Great Falls, I ran into another through cyclist named Mike. And Mike was on his last or second to last day of cycling from Pittsburgh to DC. He was going the other way that I was. But that wasn't it. Right before he jumped on the trail in Pittsburgh, he'd been on the trail in Missouri, going from Kansas City to St. Louis. So we seem to be going opposite directions on our trails. You know, it got me thinking about how we're all at different parts of our journey. Some of us are nearing the end, and some of us are just beginning on day one. There's something poignant about that. Yet, here we are acknowledging each other, recognizing the joy of being cyclists out in the world. Of course, the cycling that we do here in the United States, well, there are some long trails, and through cycling exists, and people certainly have done Trans-America routes and all sorts of things. other parts of the world, cycling is the main form of transportation. People use it to get to work, to carry everything they need, even take their kids to school, go grocery shopping. That's why I'm so glad to be able to support the World Bicycle Relief Organization as part of this ride. They build bicycles and teach people how to maintain them and send them to people in impoverished areas of the world where that bicycle may make the difference between surviving 1 year or not. And my heart is so filled with love and hope for people. And this just seems like the right way to support people in this time. So, as I'm riding this 335-mile trail, I'm doing it to raise money for World Bicycle Relief. And you can click on the link in the description if you'd like to join that fundraiser. I'm trying to raise enough for 10 bikes for this trip. And as I started out this morning, there was already enough donations for 2, so we are well on the way. You don't need to give an entire amount of a bike, of course. $5, $10, whatever you've got. The main thing is, if we work together on this, we can really make a difference in the world. Good day. Hi. So this is the Seneca Aqueduct. At several points along the canal, they needed water to cross water, and that's exactly what this is. The canal crosses over a stream, so it's like a bridge for the water. And it's built out of this red Seneca stone that was also used to build the Smithsonian Castle in DC. It also requires that you walk the bike across. So that's what we're doing. This is apparently the only one that feeds directly into a lock. The rest of the aqueducts just are transit locations. All right, back on the bike. I just passed a hiker-biker campsite. Decided to take a moment and take care of some necessary functions. And as I was about to get back on the trail, a group of 4 cyclists from the area rolled in. We exchanged words and greetings, and it turns out that, a couple of them were Presbyterian. It was really nice to be able to randomly meet some other Presbys on the trail out here. I'm still somewhat uncomfortable about saying what I'm out here doing, which is weird. It's just, I think because I've not done a fundraiser like this before. And I keep having to think like, oh, as a pastor, I shouldn't be endorsing things, but this is a nonprofit. I'm doing this on my own, not through the church. It's all good. But yeah, a little bit of imposter syndrome sometimes. That's okay. It happens to all of us. One of the things the group of cyclists told me about was this amazing sounding, at least, huge sandwich that's at White City. And they told me it's only about 10 miles away, which is good, but they might close at 4, which is in, you know, an hour and 5 minutes. So we'll see how this goes. If I make it, that would be an amazing dinner. If not, not the end of the world. It was so nice to pull into White's Ferry and find the store still open. Turns out they only close at 4 on specific days, and today they were open till 6. So I didn't need to put my head down and grind and get to the store. But oh well, things happen. And it was nice to have a delicious meal, the White's Ferry Grill, and realize I've been saying White City this whole time. White City is in New Mexico. I believe it's just outside of Carlsbad. Doing that thing where I'm getting places confused. It's not so good. Well, in any case, if you were wondering if I took a side trip to New Mexico, I did not. Still in the East Coast. I think I'm back in Maryland now, actually. But yeah, about 14-ish miles for the day left to go. Total mileage so far is around 46, so it's going to be pretty close to a metric century day. Whew, I'm sore already. We'll get there though. Tradition on the C&O Trail of taking your photo next to the mile marker of your age. And as I'm 41 this year, it's time to take that photo. Trains are still moving. That train. It's right next to a lock and a log house. all of these mini daisies over here. It's so wonderful to see these. I'm nearing the camp for the night at Bald Eagle Island. Can't believe 50 trail miles are almost complete, and nearly a metric century, 100 kilometers. Seeing all these mini daisies is just bringing a smile to my face because at my wedding, Ilana and I, instead of having rice thrown at us, we had mini daisies thrown at us. So these are just little reminiscences of being married 11 years ago. It's like the campsite is welcoming me on, cheering me on, saying, hey, there's only 2-ish miles to go. You got this, Lucas. You can do it. I think I see the campground. Here it is. A bunch of people here. Well, hopefully my hammock won't be in the way.